let's show you how to hitch up your habitat to your tow vehicle. There's a lot of things down here to work on. On the vehicle side, we have a 2-inch ball. This is called your hitch, and there are different types of hitches that have different types of risers or lowerers, so you can attach your ball at the approximate height so that your trailer and your tow vehicle are level. On my truck here, I have a 2-inch lift here. So we've conveniently have the trailer right over the hitch. To get to this point, there are a lot of different methods depending on if you're on your driveway, if you're on a hill, if you're at a campsite, if your campsite is muddy or sandy. Your rear view camera in your vehicle is amazing at getting perfect alignment. Sometimes you need a friend or you need to jump out of the car a lot as you get close and think, I got 6 more inches to go, or a little bit left or right. If you don't get perfect, you can often wrestle this around, but sometimes you can't. If it's in the mud, you can't wrestle it around at all, and you have to wrestle your vehicle around and be a little bit finicky. This lifts up. There's a bar back here that's sliding back and forth that catches the lip on the bottom of the ball. So when you put it down, you're also sliding a ball down. So if you get over this thing, you start lowering your jack. I'm gonna try to explain as much as I can. When you're lowering the ball on, you want this up. If it's not perfectly aligned, but close to aligned, you can actually drop the trailer on top of the ball and use gravity a little bit, because then if I push, it will fall down over the ball. So you lower your jack all the way until this wheel starts lifting up. Generally when you're driving, or always when you're driving, you take this wheel off to give you a little bit of more clearance down here. We've just dropped the trailer onto the 2-inch ball. Now we want to secure the coupler. You push forwards and down, and you want to get these little teeth to go in this little slot here. It can be hard, so you use your hand force. Sometimes a little foot force pops it into place. And if you're on any kind of slope, sometimes it helps a lot and makes it possible to just pull your tow vehicle forward 6 inches or a foot so that that bar I mentioned before will get around the ball. Once it's down there, we like to lock it in place. This is the pin that held the wheel on the bottom of the jack. Slots through, locks on. If you ever are traveling, you can buy key locks here if you want to be extra secure and no one can steal your trailer. What is next? So that's safety 1, couple it up. Safety 2, put this pin in so it can't pop open. Safety 3, safety chains. There are 2 chains, and on your tow vehicle, there are 2 spots. You want to take your chains and you want to cross them so that the chain that's on the right goes to the left, etc. And you hook them on to hooks that are near your hitch on the tow vehicle. In some tow vehicles, these chains might hit the ground, or in some driving situations. So a sneaky way to shorten your change up is to just twist them up like this. And it makes the links kink up a little bit. And you raise your chains. The last line of defensive hitching is the emergency brake. There's a cable and a carabiner or some other kind of hook that attaches to the same place your chains do, but you want to run it independently of the chains. It's easy to accidentally have this thing drag on the ground, so you want to shorten it with a zip tie or something like that so that it's attached here. And if this fails and this fails and this fails, then this will pull, and this little pin pulls out of the mechanism and fires your trailer brakes. Okay, the electrical connections between your habitat and your tow vehicle. All our habitats have 7-pin connectors, typical in the RV world. You control your running lights, your brake lights, and your turn signals, as well as the brakes. All our habitats are equipped with an auto brake, proportional brake controller, so that when you tap your brakes in your tow vehicle, your trailer is also stopping. There's a key on this. It fits into a slot on the hitch on the electrical connector on your trailer so that nothing can fall out when you're driving. As part of the tour of your habitat, I want to point out some important legal and practical information. There are labels on all our trailers that have the VIN number that identifies your vehicle, that gives you tire pressures and gives you the safe load maximum load ratings you're allowed to have. We wanted to show you the auto brake, which is our proportional brake controller. There's an intelligent box here, and there's something that goes on your key fob to adjust and calibrate it. The wireless connection means you don't have to run certain wires through your tow vehicle. It's a great system. You can get more information on our website on how to set it up under the manual section or at autobrake.com. Okay, for safety, you always want to be driving with the properly inflated tires because improperly inflated tires can go flat and lose their tread really fast, especially in hot weather. You also want to check all the lug nuts. We have the lug nut specs right up here. Especially when you first get your trailer, you want to make sure those are torqued to spec. A spare tire is a recommended option with all our habitats. The habitats come with the spare tire mounts. In this case, a crank and a cable that you use the same jack crank you use for the stabilizer jacks. Stick it in this hole, find the key slot, and crank it down. The elements of setting up a safe and stable habitat involve your hitch, wheel chocks to prevent your habitat from rolling downhill, and your stabilizing jacks. So before you even unhitch from the trailer, you want to get some chocks by your wheels so it doesn't roll. You take the crank that comes with your habitat, you take the slots that are keyed, and you put it at the end of the threaded rod, and you start cranking. Our stabilizer jacks come with support pads. In some muddy conditions, you might want to put a piece of plywood or something down there to spread out the weight even more. Stabilizer jacks are made to level your trailer front and back and make a stable walking platform when you're inside. Here we are at the front of the habitat. This is where the propane lives that works your stove and your hot water heater and your furnace. We supply 2 20-pound bottles of propane hidden under this cover. We sell them empty, and you can either start exchanging them at gas stations and other stores or have them filled. Access to your propane is underneath this flap. You unscrew these things and toggle them over, and you have access to all your valves, which I'll show you in a minute. To access your propane tanks, you need to pull a bungee that's holding on this plastic cover, and then it just lifts off. You can see our 2 tanks and the propane regulator, as well as the mechanism that holds your tanks securely in place while you're driving. To turn on and off your propane, if you want to use your stove, etc., you crank these valves all the way open. And then this valve on the regulator, you want this black thing to point towards the tank you're using. That way, if you run out of this one, things stop working and you come back outside and you flip this around to run that one. When you want to replace an empty tank, you make sure the propane valve is all the way closed. You disconnect the hose from the tank, and now you'll see it's securely on there. So you have to undo this giant wing nut until you have enough room to unhook it and remove your tank. Here I am with a full bottle of propane, coming back to get your trailer ready to go somewhere exotic. You make sure it's well seated on the tray underneath, and then you maneuver this bar so that the teeth are catching the edge of the propane on both sides, and then you crank it down. Take your propane hose, wrap it around, and securely connect it to the tank. When you're driving, you have these always in the off position. You grab your plastic cover and the bungee. You drop it over the top. You attach the bungee to the little tab here and reach underneath to the other little tab. and you're ready to go. I'd like to show you how you plug in a solar panel to our trailers to greatly augment your battery power. We have a type AC2 plug here, simply in here, and there's a connector that plugs it in. If you don't have an AC2 connector on your panel, there are many adapters to get to this. We always recommend using a panel with a charge controller in line between here. This one's built into the back of the panel, because if you don't have one of those, then you may overcharge your batteries. It's pretty much as simple as that. Portable panels come with long cords, so you can put your panel in the sun. And I usually camp with 80 or 100 watts. That greatly extends my battery life, but if you want more, get more. Let's talk shore power. You need shore power if you're at home or in your garage and you're charging up your batteries or using your trailer. If you're at a campground that provides electrical power. If you don't have shore power, you're using battery power or solar power. Our habitats come with a 30 amp inlet. They also come with a 30 amp pigtail. Because nothing in our habitat requires 30 amps, a pigtail is much more convenient, we think. It goes straight to a 110 volt outlet, and you can use any exterior extension cord. There are 3 connectors. One of them has a kind of key slot, so you have to find the one with the key on it. Turn it in, give it a little quarter turn, and then you connect this to make it watertight. And again, then you take your extension cord, and if you're at a campground with power, there's a power post 10 feet away that will have an outlet for this. If you're in your garage or at your house or someone else's house, you can run to wherever your power might be. Your Mantis habitat can hold 2 batteries. They can be size group 24 or group 27. You can use 1 or 2 batteries. It depends how much power you need off the grid. 1 battery is generally a weekend of use using your fridge and the lights and water pumps and stuff. 2 batteries is 4 or 5 days. Solar panels extend that even further. We do not sell the batteries. Your dealer supplies the batteries, or you can supply your own batteries. You can spend a lot on batteries, you can spend a little on batteries. It's kind of a math game, and make your own decision or with the advice of us or your dealer. Your batteries are charged once they're installed in 3 different ways. They are charged when you plug your trailer into a 110 volt outlet. Then your power center here, which handles 12 volt distribution and 110 volt distribution, is intelligently charging your batteries. It charges them really quickly, it maintains them, it does not overcharge them. Once you're out in the field using your trailer, there are 2 more ways your battery can be charged. One is by plugging in a solar panel, and the other is when you're attached with your 7-pin connector, your car's or tow vehicle's alternator is trickle charging the battery. I've always found that if I'm driving more than 2 hours, it's hard not to arrive with fully charged batteries, even while you're running your fridge while you're driving. I am going to show you the steps to wire 1 or 2 batteries into a Mantis. Here's the battery compartment. It's open. There are 2 trays in there. Once the batteries get wired up, you put them in there and they get strapped down so they don't bounce around on a road. Before you start anything, you want to reach back here to the battery cutoff switch and turn it to the off position. It's already in the off position. So, inside your battery compartment are 2 red wires and 1 white wire. The 2 reds go to the positive terminal, slip them over the terminal, attach them, take the whites to the negative, attach that, grab a wrench, give it a little tightening, then you would pick this up and slip it into a tray and strap it down. To set up 2 batteries, you want to wire them in parallel for best efficiency. So we wire up the 2 reds that are in the compartment to the positive terminal. We take the white wire and you run it to the second battery, if I've added enough clearance. And then we want to add jumpers between the batteries. So white negative to white negative, and red positive. To red positive. I would take my wrench and tighten these down so they don't loosen up on the road, put them in each of their respective trays, strap them down, and I'm ready to go. Your habitat has a voltmeter. It's up here. This is the way you check the health and power capacity of your battery or batteries. You'll note that it has different numbers at different times. When you're charging, whether it's solar power or it's attached to your 7-pin connector, it'll probably be something like 13.2. If you're plugged into shore power, it'll be 13.4 or 6 or maybe even 8. And that's all great. When you're off the grid and you're monitoring this, if you're not connected to shore power or a solar panel, the fully charged battery is right around 12.8. Most of your power range is in the 12, so between 12 and 12.8. As you get into the lower 11s, your refrigerator will start turning itself off to conserve energy, and you never want to run your batteries below 10. We have two main equipment and light switch panels in our habitats in the Mantis. This is one of them with water pump and lights. If you find that one of those things does not turn on a little red LED and your lights or water pump aren't coming, the fuse is located right underneath. It's a simple glass fuse you can get at any hardware store. It pulls out easily, goes back in. It's really easy to change. Right by the side entry door of the Mantis habitat are your exterior lights and some interior lights, so you can always turn on a light before you get inside a dark trailer. If those lights aren't working, just as on the kitchen side, there are glass fuses underneath. Really simple to replace. You can buy them at any hardware store or building store. Same thing, there's USB outlets and a 12-volt accessory outlet here. Fuse is right underneath. Our Mantis habitat has two detectors for your safety. This one down here is the propane and carbon monoxide detector. It's down low because if you had a propane leak, propane's heavier than air and that's where you want it to be. If for some reason it goes off, you want to obviously check your propane if you can smell a leak, etc. If you need to reset the alarm, you press this button for 3 seconds. These need to be replaced every 5 years. Over my head on this roof interior ceiling of the Mantis is a smoke detector that you want to test and make sure the battery's current periodically. I'd like to explain the freshwater systems in our habitats. Our habitats have what we call a city water inlet. You'd get a potable water hose, which are those white hoses you see, and it's a simple garden hose connection. And at your house or if your campsite is equipped, there's water 10 feet away or so, and you attach that, and that's providing the water pressure for your sink and your exterior shower, which is up there. If you're camping off the grid, it's a different method. You come back here to the freshwater tank fill, which is sized to fit a hose in. Again, a potable water hose will fill this in. Or if that's not convenient, or if you're at a campsite, you can get something like a NATO can and glug, glug, glug that water in there. You'll know the tank is full when there's a valve up here that burps and water starts falling on the ground. There's 20 gallons of fresh water for camping off the grid. Your freshwater tank is located under your habitat, and it has a valve to empty it. When you're using your habitat's water system, your sink and shower drain into the gray water tank. You'll know when that tank is full when your sink or shower stop draining and it's time to empty it. You come out to the outside of your trailer, there's a little sticker here telling you where it is. There are many ways to empty a gray water tank. We provide a connection that allows you to attach any garden hose. Depending on where you are camped, there might be a drain right at your campsite, or you can dump this into an RV dump station, or there are many products on the market that make a portable rolling tank, so you can keep your trailer where it is and empty your water tank over and over again. Once you've attached the hose and you want to drain it, you pull this valve out, and that starts the draining. To use your exterior shower, you take your shower wand and hose, you open this door. There's a quick disconnect fitting here. You push it in the center until you hear a click. If you're attached to city water at your campsite, you already have water pressure. If you're boondocking or off the grid, you need to turn on the 12-volt water pump inside. But after that, you have hot and cold water. You can turn on and off the water here too. When you're done showering, you push in the center ring and pull out the connector. Before you store this inside, it might be full of water, so make sure to drain it. Sometimes you have to flip the valve on your shower wand. I should say, if you want hot water, you need to turn on your hot water heater in advance. The mantis habitat is equipped with a cassette toilet. I'm going to show you how the outside of that gets set up and used. You open this compartment. This is the cassette. There's a swing out fill valve for the flush water, and there's a water level gauge over here. So you want to fill up the flushing tank for the inside, because when you use it inside, you put a little liquid in before you do your business, and then you're able to flush. Your cassette toilet comes with that wonderful blue or green liquid. You put about an ounce of that in here. Swing this out. It comes with a special funnel. And now you can fill this with a hose, or in this case, a NATO can, and just pour water in there, and that pre-mixes the special liquid. And that special liquid is taking care of odors, but even more importantly, it's breaking down solids. So when your tank fills up, you're able to dump it really easily. So you might notice that as I'm filling this water level is going up here. Remove the funnel. Cap this. Now you're able to flush. I'll show you the flushing mechanism on the inside. When this tank fills up, there's a clip under here. You lift that and you pull it out. And it's this rolling suitcase that then you can take to a dump station, you can take to a pit toilet, or you can even empty it in your own toilet at home. It's really easy. It's no better or worse than using a porta potty. If something ever goes wrong with your flush mechanism inside, it's likely to be a fuse that's sitting right here. Okay, when you get your tank to where you're going to dump it out, be that at a dump station or in a toilet or a pit toilet at a park, you swivel this out. You take off the nozzle. There's a handle here, and there's finger holes under here with your thumb up here. This is an air release button, so it doesn't go glug, 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 it pours smoothly. You press this, lift up, and dump. It's pretty simple. If you want to give an extra rinse to that inside, you can pull back this flap and open, and this is just your empty compartment. You can shoot some water in there, give it another slosh, and do another dump. Let me show you how this cassette toilet works. Before anything, you want to put some liquid in there. Flushing is a matter of pulling this lever, and everything will drop into the cassette below. Sometimes we forget to explain that there's a valve on the base of this shower. If you turn on the water to take a shower or rinse something off and the water's not shooting out here, you give a twist to this at the bottom. That also means that when you take a shower, you can turn it off and soap yourself up and then rinse off without wasting water. Okay, I'd like to show you how the shades and windows operate in our taxa habitats. We have these cool shades. If you pull down, you get an opaque shade. If you pull up, you get a mosquito screen. And there's a little plastic clip that holds them together, unless you don't want to do that, in which case you operate them independently. The windows themselves have latches on them that turn to unlatch them. So to open the window, you unlatch them all. You give it a push. And with these windows, you screw this knob to tighten it open. When you want to close the window, you unscrew this so it comes down. And I want to tell you that there are two positions down here. If you pull it all the way in, it is airtight and ready for driving. But there's also an in-between stage that leaves the window about 1/8 of an inch open. If you put this little arm in the slot, then you have just a little bit of air. And that's really nice to avoid condensation or when you're storing the trailer so you're not making a sealed environment. Windows with red handles are fire exit windows, which is important to know. I think that's about it. Okay, I want to give you a quick tour of the paddle latches that are on our habitat hatches and side doors, entry doors. You open them, there's a black paddle here that you pull, and then you push. And then if you want to deadbolt them for a feeling of security or from the outside, for extra security, there's a red latch that you pull and it throws a deadbolt down there. So again, to get out, pull the latch. If it's bolted, flip the red handle, give a push. Okay, I'm standing at the side door of our mantis habitat, showing you how the latch and deadbolt works. If you're on the inside, there's a convenient grab handle to pull it back and forth. The latch handle is this black tab that you pull out and it opens the latch. And if you want some security, there's a red deadbolt switch that you flip the switch and a deadbolt fires over here. To have water and fire, you have to have set up your propane outside and open up those valves. To get hot water, you have to have turned on your Truma hot water furnace system already. If you're off the grid, to get some water pressure, you need to turn on the water pump, which makes a little humming noise until it's pressurized. You can use it while it's humming also. To turn on your sink, you grab this handle and push it sideways. Get some running water. Cold is down, hot is up. I already turned on the propane outside. There's a switch in here where you get a spark to light your light your stove. Give it some gas. And you're set. The first time you turn on your propane, it might take 10 or 15 seconds for the gas to get here. So if it doesn't start on that first go around, keep pushing this in to let the gas flow. Thanks. Okay, here I am in front of the Mantis cooler fridge platform. There's a platform here that can hold a cooler that you might already own or a Truma C44 fridge that we sell, which is a single zone 12 volts or 110 volts fridge. Quick tour of the outside of this, which is really cool. There's a lid to get inside, of course. It holds up. Inside there are baskets with handy features, so you can put wine bottles or milk bottles, etc. But also you can take this into your house and load up your fridge at home and come and drop it all in. That's really cool. It has a light. It has carry handles. We strap it down to the fridge base with two straps, one at either end. Simple to operate. Down here are the digital controls, but it's much more fun to use the app, which I will show you in a minute. At either end, there are bottle openers hidden underneath these handles. And out of sight is the 12 volt plug, which is built into the Mantis, and a 12 volt cord, which is built into the cooler. Okay, I'm opening the Truma app, which will control the C44 fridge we have installed here. I open it, I click add device. It's looking for it via Bluetooth. Now it's connected. And on the opening screen, you can do important things like select the temperature. And if you go into settings, there are some important ones you should know about. You can choose Fahrenheit or Celsius. You can choose turbo in the energy mode selection or energy savings. Turbo, it just gets cold faster when you're starting out a trip. You might want to do that. On battery protection, I recommend setting it on low. The battery protection sets a voltage that your battery reaches that will turn off the fridge to save the battery. Setting it on high might mean that your fridge turns off unexpectedly because when you still have a lot of charge left in your battery when you're camping. I think that's it for the app. I'm going to give you a high-level tour of the controls for our Truma Combi Eco, which is your furnace and your hot water supply for the habitat. Your propane has to be on for the system to turn on. It's all controlled here. You push this button to activate the screen and open up the menu. The button also rotates to select a different icon or set a temperature, which I'll show you in a second. A complete quick start guide and manual are available on our website under the manuals tab. So for the furnace, you make the RV blink. Press this and you can see that it's off. You dial a temperature that you want your habitat to get to, and then you hit this button again. And that's it. A flame will appear to indicate that your furnace is on. Let me go back. If we were setting the hot water, you go to this thermometer that's floating in water. I think that's what that means, and you click that. It's off right now. There are a few different modes here. One is Eco, which heats your water slowly. One is Hot, which is normal, and one is Boost, which is basically when you've just used your hot water and you want a new tank of hot water as soon as possible. So let's select Hot. Then you can see another icon has appeared up top indicating that your hot water system is on. I'm going to turn it back off, and I'm going to go back to my home screen. Okay, we use Kynar painted aluminum composite panels on our trailer because they are light and strong and tough. That doesn't mean you can't damage them though, so take care dragging belt buckles or branches, stuff like that, especially on our windows. If you have this window open and you're opening the door, a common error is to smash it into that panel. I'd like to talk to you quickly about rivets and our habitats. Our habitats are assembled with rivets and a structural adhesive. In most places, the rivets are just the clamps for the structural adhesives, which hold your panels to your skeleton. From time to time, you may find that you've popped a rivet. Generally, that means that one of these rings has popped off. Don't worry because of that structural adhesive, and don't worry, there are a lot of rivets in here. It's really easy to fix. If you want to do it on your own, you need a cordless drill, a 3/16 drill bit, and a rivet tool. We generally use two types of rivets. One is a peel rivet, which sort of unfolds when you pull it, and those attach the panel to the skeleton, for instance here. The others are aluminum high-strength rivets and tends to be in corner details of your trailer. And so if you lose one or two, it's really not a big deal. Repair it yourself or take it to a dealer to get repaired.